What's going on, everybody? It's Professor Zeus, and I'm back with another video. If this is your first time on the channel, I greatly appreciate you. Thank you for stopping by. Go ahead and hit subscribe. We're on our way to 800 subscribers, and we're taking up the humble route. If you saw my last video about Tehran, the guy who got laid off from his federal job and had a wake-up call, I think you're going to like this video, or you may not like this video, but we had a new story, and it just has me thinking, right? So I came across this woman online. She's a federal worker. She's passionate, and she's just extremely pissed and mad. She said she voted for Trump, but now she's got mad because her job with the National Forest Service, she lost it, and she's blaming that on DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, and how they've been trying to shrink federal spending, and she's tying her job loss to her struggles, and she's got this weird twist involving IVF and reproductive rights. She seems like she's more left leaning, but she voted for Trump, and I think there's a lot of layers here. We'll break it down. Let me go ahead and pull this video up.
Thousands of federal probationary employees was likely unlawful, and now ordering the Office of Personnel Management to inform some of the affected agencies it had no authority to even make those cuts. One of those probationary employees, 24-year-old Michigan native Riley Cooper, was just let go by the U.S. Forest Service and shared her heartbreaking story with the Washington Post. You see, Riley has dreamed of becoming a mother. After a doctor told her that IVF could be her only hope of having children, she turned to Trump, who had promised on the campaign trail to fully cover the procedure. It ended up being the very reason she cast her ballot for President Trump this past November. Riley Cooper joins me now. Riley, welcome. Thank you for sharing your story. And I wonder, what was it like for you when you got the news that you were being let go?
It was really hard. I was on the phone with my best friend, Kaylee, at the time, and we were just discussing her life and how things were going. And I looked at my phone, and I had gotten a text from our union rep, and he told me that I was going to be fired the next day. And I told her, I have to go. I'm getting fired tomorrow. And my heart just sank.
I'm so sorry this is happening, and the frustration you must be feeling, and perhaps anxiety about what's next. And of course, we're hearing a lot about following the campaign and the elections about the mandate that people wanted to see a streamlined government. They want to be able to right size it in some way and rid of waste and fraud. That was not the motivating reason you were voting for President Trump. Does that impact the way you see any of this?
Yeah, it's hard from my perspective to approach the current administration with hope. I've been dealing with infertility now for about a year. I've had multiple surgeries in my life. So, going into the voting booth, the main thing on my mind was the same thing I'd been thinking about for the past 11 months. And it was, I want to be a mom. And women who have gone through that experience, that heartbreaking feeling of wanting something that you might never have, they understand how much of your time is taken up with those thoughts and how overwhelming and lonely it can feel. So as someone who is more of a swing voter, sometimes that's what it comes down to, is those single issues. Because when you step into the voting booth, you're thinking of what's important to you and like the issues that are resonating with you in that moment. And for me in that moment, like, it took me a while, and I made a decision that, looking back, I'm not proud of, but it's the reality of my situation now.
Riley, do you now regret the way you voted for Trump?
I do feel regret, and I've had a lot of tumultuous thoughts about that day in the election booth. When you're voting on something that affects you so personally, it's really easy to get tunnel vision, especially in a voting booth when you're staring at, you have two options, right? I mean, it's not like you're given an endless amount of options to achieve your goals. And so afterwards, when I thought maybe this is my chance, I also had to come to terms with the fact that I was likely going to be a part of, taking chances away from other groups of people. And that's never sat well with me.
I understand, sadly, you have been getting a lot of hate mail, a lot of negative reaction for even speaking your mind about how you feel since being fired. Can you describe some of that?
People online get very brave. They can very easily say terrible things to you that they would never in a million years say to anyone's face. I've had people tell me that, you know, they hope that I never have a child and that I got exactly what I deserve. And as much as all of the terrible comments have been coming through, I've also received an immense amount of support, especially from women who have gone through IVF, who struggle with infertility. It's unfortunately a large group of us out there who deal with this. And I hope that more light comes to the issue of infertility.
So let me jump in. We heard Riley's story. Yeah, I mean, you know, this hits close to no this hits close to home if you remember my video with Tehran. I mean, you know, he got cut from a federal gig as well, and you know, it flipped his world upside down, but you know, he's out there now, his eyes open, he's trying to build something new. And you know, Riley here, she's in a similar boat. She lost her forest service job due to DOGE cuts, but instead of moving forward, she's pointing at Trump, or at least from what I'm seeing, she's pointing at Trump like he betrayed her. She's saying she voted for him expecting like what? Like job security, IVF support, a lifeline. It's got me scratching my head because I don't recall Trump promising to fund IVF or protect every federal job. If you got receipts, please feel free to drop them in the comments. I'm extremely open to being wrong, but it feels like she's mad at promises he never necessarily made. Now, here's where things are going to get a little bit murky, right? She mostly spoke on the IVF angle, saying she was trying to get pregnant and, you know, how Trump is, you know, tied into that. But as I'm listening, I barely hear a peep about, you know, husband, a family, or anything that feels rooted in, you know, classic conservative vibes or classic conservative values, I should say. And I'm not here to judge your choices, you know, obviously live your life, but if you voted for Trump for Republican values, you think family would pop up more. But I know she did mention that, you know, she's more of a swing voter and it's more so the interests or the topics that she's voting on. But, you know, I would just think, I mean, even me myself as a father, anytime I mention me being a father, I always preface it with, you know, family. But, you know, we have her, maybe, I mean, everyone's different, but we have her, she's talking about how she wants to get pregnant, she wants to be a mom, but never in the context of a family. And I thought that was interesting. I mean, even going back to like, you know, her job loss and IVF, it's like she expected Trump to bankroll on her dreams. And for a lot of people, it's going to be a head scratcher. I mean, did she misread what he stood for, or is she just venting now that, you know, the DOGE acts fell? Because she did say, she said that she would be voting for interests that wouldn't benefit a certain group of people. So this plugs into the bigger election mess that, you know, we all experience because, you know, Kamala Harris was out there full volume. She was running on reproductive rights, promising to shield women's options from abortion to IVF. Then you had folks yelling that, you know, Trump was going to destroy all of it, ban everything, no exceptions. But I didn't hear her say I didn't hear Trump say he'd kill IVF. I didn't personally hear that. I don't know if he said he would fund it or he sidestepped it or whatever, but that's new to me. And at the same time, those cuts are about trimming government fat, not targeting women's rights. So why is she raging at Trump about this? It's like she pinned her whole life, job, fertility, everything on him. And now that the Forest Service job is gone, he's the bad guy. So I'm just trying to think, like, what is the real story here? You know what I mean? But what can we take away from this? For me, it's don't bank on any politician to be your savior at all, at all, at all. Like, even in some of my music, like, you got to be careful for these elected officials. Obviously, we vote them in, but you still have to take heed. But look at Tehran. He figured it out that, you know, he's not waiting for a handout. He's carving his own path. And, you know, Riley here, she's hurting. She losing a federal job obviously can sting. And infertility is no joke, but blaming Trump or DOGE, she might be dodging like the bigger picture here. Life doesn't owe you a script, and neither does any candidate or any politician. And there's no shade in what I'm trying to say, but it's just the honest truth. What about you? Have you ever felt like you were bought into a promise that wasn't even real? Let me know in the comments, man. But that's my 2 cents. Did she misjudge Trump? Are the DOGE cuts hitting harder than we actually think? Hit the comments. Let's talk about it. If you're new, please go ahead and subscribe. We are on our way to 800 subscribers, and we are taking it the humble route. And never, ever forget, it's you and I verse for a reason. I teach you, you teach me, and we both take what we taught each other and learn from each other and apply it to what's going on. That's the only way life can go on. Until next time, peace.